funny as I'm looking at my picture and I'm like, oh, you can always tell how hot it's getting here and how what by how wild my hair starts frizzing out. So it's still taming all right. So we're not in the super summer hot just yet. We actually we actually were in May. May was quite hot, but we just came out of it's about almost 2 weeks of rain, so that really cooled us down nicely. Good reprieve. All right. So anyway, what we're going to talk about today is the talking about like regrets, shoulda, coulda, wouldas. I know there's been all these memes and stuff on Facebook, and even I was in the Tony Robbins event a couple weeks ago, however long ago it was. The the game has changed event, and even Dean, one of the questions he asked, if you could go back and change one thing in your past or $1 million, what would you do? And I'm like, well, duh, no brainer, $1 million, absolutely, like that's not even a question. And I see all these memes like red pill, blue pill, that exact same question. If you could, would you change something in your past? Would you get $1 million? And the thing is, it's like, I don't know if you guys ever saw that movie, The Butterfly Effect, but that's kind of like essentially the same principle of everything in our past has led us to today. Now, I understand that there are people out there that aren't going to be very happy with their life if you're super down on your luck, if you've just had like months of garbage and like life is tough. God, what year? I want to say it was 4 years ago or so. Not COVID. That wasn't. Maybe 2021. But there was this run where I was talking with like myself, my boyfriend, obviously, all my massage clients, and it's like everyone was just having the crappiest year. Like January hit, and it was just like the whole year, and we were in May or June already, and it was just like this has like been the worst year ever. Like it was bad. So I understand that sometimes it's just like a prolonged period of garbage. I've had that. It is super tough. That is, in my opinion, all the more reason to have the positivity, the gratitude, the proper mindset to be able to get yourself through that. Like, it's so important because, yeah, that is really just the toughest times. And unfortunately, 9 times out of 10, it always includes someone close to you passing away because it's just part of the garbage. Yeah, it was crazy. We had a lot of. It was a crazy half a year. I want to say the back half was much better because I don't remember complaining about that. But yeah, so just thinking back, the again, I understand some people may be going through a really tough time, but the point is, if there's something in your life that you would never choose to give up, whether it's, kids, spouse, best friends, where you live, like there's just even one thing in your life that you would never trade for anything, then you should also say, give me the $1 million. I will not change this. Because again, that butterfly effect, everything in our life brought us to today. So if we go back and change anything, no matter how small it might seem, if you guys have seen, again, we have so many time warping movies and dimensional things. Any little thing in the past could alter, like you could be a whole different person living in a whole different country. Like your life could just be unrecognizable. So that is really no, I hope you guys are similar to me. I where you can say generically you do like your life. You like who you are, you like things around you, your family, your house, whatever. Obviously, we all have things we would like better, something else. Even myself, like we purchased land. We're going to build a house. So yes, the current house I live in is not ideal. but it works. It's good for now, and I would change many, many things. But that's okay because I'm working towards something. I have a plan. I am working to solve that problem, right? And similarly, anything in our lives that you don't currently love, you would like to improve, every single problem has a solution. It's that balance, that yin, the yang, the dark, the light. Every problem has a solution. That's why it's a problem, because it can be solved, right? So it's that just knowing that you wouldn't give up you wouldn't risk your entire life, potentially your entire existence, by going back and changing anything. So that's where, on a very basic level, you just want to look at today and be like, yes, I love where I'm at. There are things to improve, which is fine, because then make a list. Write down some goals, whether it's a weekly goal, there's small things to improve, whether it's I need to paint the deck, a seasonal goal perhaps, like whatever it might be, start working towards them. Whatever you want to change, start doing it. That's as simple as it is. If you want to improve something, do it, work towards it, right? But just appreciate that everything has led you to today. So again, on that basic generic level, you want to just appreciate your past, not want to change it because you like what you're working with today, right? And like I said, hopefully this is like 98% of all of you understand there's always going to be a couple people, and there's the negative people out there, like the really negative people. But if you're really negative, you're not going to be watching this anyway, because I am not going to be your cup of tea. I'm going to irritate the crap out of you with all my positivity. And that's okay. So on a deeper level though, because I guess it's like the very basic thing is to just not regret your past, just to appreciate for what it's been here today and admit, okay, yes, I actually like my life. I love who I am. I love my family. There's many things in my life I love, I would not trade, and I appreciate. So, okay, I will not change the past. I will take that $1 million. And then think of all the things you don't like that you could fix with that $1 billion. Anyway, but on that deeper level of actually getting rid of the baggage of the negativity, we actually want to deal with these regrets that you have, right? And this is similarly, if you watched my forgiveness video, it's very similar to that, like just coming to terms with the past, accepting it, finding the lessons and finding the positives. If you haven't, I'll break it down for you. But I would also recommend, if you haven't watched my forgiveness video, forgiveness is another one of those, especially we have to forgive ourselves for mistakes we've made. We have to forgive ourselves for everything, because again, especially as females, forgive ourselves for how we feel about our literal selves, our bodies, our lack of confidence, all these things that we blame ourselves for. They really, really hold us back in life, like really hold us back in life. So pop on over. I have a video on forgiveness. I also have my live I did on forgiveness. I try and do one of each. I'm still playing catch up on the videos because I was late to the game with that. I can't remember why. But super important, guys. It can be difficult. Forgiveness is one of the hardest things. But go back, watch the video, do it. It's really awesome. Like leaving a truck full of baggage at the door and just, nope, someone else can have that if they want, not mine anymore. So this is similar, where that regret, it has negative feelings. Like that's why it's a regret. You think back of that situation and you get like, whether it's embarrassment or anger or shame or whatever those feelings are, they're negative feelings, right? So the goal of this is to be able to look back at anything in your past, any situation you might have, and either feel neutral or feel positively about it, right? So that's where, Things like when I was in college and I was super embarrassed because I was walking and talking, like I had my head turned, talking to my friend, walking along, and I fell in a hole. The hole that was not there yesterday. Because we walked, this was from our dorms to the cafeteria. So we walked that same path like 20 times a day. Like, seriously. That hole was not there yesterday. And I literally fell in this hip high hole. And I was super embarrassed. And you know how you are, young adult teenagers. But I look back, I laugh at it now, and I'm like, well, I should have been watching where I was walking. Like seriously, I literally walked into a hole. Like that's pretty silly. So I have this positive, funny connotation, the humor. I've now attached that situation where like, yeah, like that was pretty ridiculous. I literally fell in a hole. Who falls in holes? Like big holes for trees. Yeah, this girl. Right? Instead of looking back and feeling, yeah, shame or embarrassment or, ooh, I can't, wish I can't. It doesn't matter. Same thing where, events that happened in high school. If you're like all of us, I think literally every single one of us had a bully. Even bullies had bullies. It was just kind of like, it's just what happened in school. The mean girls in high school. So there was some particular situations that I used to think back and I used to feel like really hurt, and really like it really impacted me, my confidence. It really stuck with me for a very long time. And then now that I've worked through that, I've got great confidence. I have awesome self-worth, self-respect. Think back and I'm like, you know what? With that poor attitude, if that guy didn't change his attitude, he's gonna have gone nowhere. And I hope I hope his life is not as dismal as it clearly was in high school. Because that's the other thing to remember. If you're the type of person who is actively mean to other people, like to their faces, like with the purpose of hurting them, making them feel bad, whatever it is, first of all, that is some bad karma. I really believe in karma wholeheartedly. That is some bad karma. But you are also the person where you are so negative to try and make yourself feel even a little bit better. You have to put other people down. That is a terrible, terrible way to live your life. And I honestly, I mean, that person gets nothing from me, but if I did have feelings towards them, it would be pity and like, dude, I hope you figured it out. I hope you do better because otherwise you're going nowhere and you're not going to have very many friends because you're an unpleasant individual. And maybe in high school, people might be friends with bullies and horrible, horrible people because we're all trying to figure it out. We're all trying to fit in. But as adults, who puts up with that garbage? Not very many of us. So, right, it's that flipping it around, rewriting that story where, yes, I can continue to hold on to my 16-year-old self's emotions and trauma and all these things, or I can choose to look back and be like, oh, well, that was very clearly a him problem. That reflects on him, not me. He can have all the opinions in the world. That's fine. That's his right. Do I choose to believe them? No, I don't, because they're not true. They may be true for him. Who knows? Who cares? Right? But I know they're not true because I know me and I know me the best because I am me. Right? So that is those things where we want to flip around whatever the negative connotation was. Now, for the events of traumas, I'm sure. God, the more I talk to people, the more I listen to stories, the more I see. I really believe pretty much all of us have some sort of traumas in our past. So those ones, obviously, I'm going to say pull the positive out, not so much, but the lesson. What I guess I'll say positive in the terms of um, how did it positively impact us and shape us to be better people. Like I'll use the example of my dad basically rejecting me and not wanting to spend time with me because I was a girl. He wanted to do the boy things with his son. For whatever reason, in his mind, he could not do boy things with his daughter. But that, even though it did cause me to have some issues with the male species for a little while. Now, I don't get me wrong, I was friends with lots of guys and stuff, but I didn't trust them, and I had some issues with men, and till I worked through that. But so my point to that was, even though there were some negative aspects, and it was very hurtful to be rejected by my father, and it did give me, like, I want to say, one of my uh, biggest things I had to work through as an adult in my growing journey was rejection. I probably still have to work on it to this day because we are all onions, we are all layers, and I'm sure that is so deeply rooted. Maybe I'll be working on it forever, who knows? But that's the beauty of it is I don't want to dissuade you guys. It does get better. Like when I say I might still have to keep working on it, it doesn't mean it's not getting better. It's kind of like if you learn a musical instrument. When you very first start, it's just like, holy, what is that? Like, ooh. But as you practice, as you get better, as you work on it, maybe you're not Mozart, but you're starting to make music, it's coming together. So we need to think of our journeys like that. Now, my issues with rejection are no longer a screaming, howling cat. I am making some, recognizable music. I am not Mozart yet, right? So that's what I mean, where it's just that journey. The more I deal with it, the better I get. Like everything does have a purpose. So I don't want people to, oh my God, we're working on this forever. No. It's just because there's always room to grow, and deep rooted core issues like my rejection, they just take, we're going to peel away at it, and it's going to be way better to the point on the surface. I don't care. I can be rejected 1,000 times now and whatever, but is there something still in there? Maybe I'll work on it later. Who knows when it might pop up again, or if it does, or if it's gone. But the point is, we want to really deal with those things. So with my dad, even though it caused me all those things and it was this, we'll say negative experience, the positives of that are that it really instilled in me a really deep drive to be as good as the boys, to not have to rely on them to kind of prove myself. I needed to be able to prove I was as good as the boys. So I started lifting weights. I've always loved woodworking. I have 5 grandparents. One of them is a step one, but 4 out of 5 of my grandparents were all finishing carpenters. So this is like in my blood. I just love wood. It's in me. But I also, got a semi-interest in, not that I want to rebuild cars, but I do love cars. I love old cars, muscle cars. I love watching car shows. I built up the interest in at least knowing these things, how to fix things around the house. If I don't know, a handle falls off a door, I don't have to call someone. I want to be able to fix that. Something's loose, I need to fix that. Just your basic odd handyman jobs. I wanted to be able to do that. Now, don't get me wrong, I have no desires, nor have I ever had a desire to like go work on an iron, oil rig or whatever. Like, I don't need to do that or anything. But like, I even joined my volunteer fire department. I actually got the highest mark in my class, just saying. But this drive to prove myself, which really has really served me really, really well. I'm a very strong, independent person. That is a big part of my identity now. I love it. I would never trade it for anything, especially since, literally we moved countries. And I can do that because I'm a strong, independent person who can figure stuff out. I don't need other people. I know how to fix things. I know how to handle things. And I can do, right? So this has served me so well. And it is a huge positive. And that has a large part to do with that negative experience that has really molded me, right? So it's that looking back and finding those, because a lot of the times we just see the negative, we have a traumatic experience, and we're just like, oh, I was rejected. Oh, I have daddy issues or whatever. But we don't look past that. It's like maybe it's a fear of facing the pain of it that, I mean, that might be actually what that is. Just thinking about, all the things we look back on, and you do have to face those feelings. It's been a little while since I have dealt with my regrets and stuff. So you know what? I did actually temporarily forget that. Yeah, when you look back, some things are so horrible. You can't even replay the situation in the beginning. You can't even barely access that memory. And you know what? That's okay. That's where, like everything else we do, like everything else we go through, um, we keep doing it every day. So if you have one of those particular painful memories, it's like exposure therapy. Every day, you pick a time, put yourself in a nice, safe place. Maybe you light some candles, have something nice, smelly. Maybe you're in a bubble bath, nice and relaxing. Make your environment as safe and protected as possible, and really tell yourself, okay, we're working to grow, we're working to better ourselves. We are safe, but we need to deal with this. And then you look back into the past to that situation and you try and replay a little bit more of it, and do that every day until you can replay the whole thing. Okay. And again, when you're feeling the feelings, that's okay. Acknowledge them. They're there for a reason. Um, and a lot of times, I have this with talking with someone else, where the things that have come from that, like sometimes we do need to tell ourselves, like, okay, I appreciate what we did. We did that to keep ourselves safe, and that was a very good thing. But we are safe now. So it's time to let go, right? And those are for like your bigger traumas for sure, because the reactions we have to that are survival ones, and it's very fair and it's very natural, and there's nothing to be there's no judgments. It's what you have to do in the moment. It's what you have to do to keep yourself safe, and that is very, very fine, right? But as an adult, however many years later, we're in different situations, we've grown, and we don't necessarily need that, like myself having all these trust issues for the longest time. Like, my dad was a chronic cheater. I walked in on him at one point. Like, talk about a little traumatizing. And so I have no respect for him as a husband. He was still my dad, but as a husband, I had no respect. And so for the longest time, I just didn't date. And even when I would try and date, I was like, he's probably, I literally couldn't trust guys. Now I have my boyfriend. I've been with him, oh my God, what year is it? 14 years almost. And we are great together. But, you have to work through, you have to say to yourself, like I had to say to myself at one point, listen, what we did in that moment, we had a defense mechanism to keep ourselves safe. I did not want to go through what my mom went through. Therefore, I had this super high bar. I had like zero trust. Do not give me any reason to doubt you. There's no second chances. And it really hindered, even when I tried to date. It was like I was so suspicious that I just couldn't even, I would always call it off, because I'm like, this is stupid. I can't trust you. Like, I can't do this. But then finally, yeah, it's like, okay, well, you're either going to have to work through this issue and trust someone, or you're going to be alone for the rest of your life. So I did some work on myself, took that deep step. And when I met my boyfriend, it's funny because you kind of, again, when you know, And I told myself, like, listen, you're going to do this. You're going to trust him and you're just going to dive in. And it's scary AF. And that's okay. But we're doing it. And sometimes that's as simple as it is. Like, we're letting go, we're diving in, we're just doing it. Otherwise, it's going to pass you by. And I knew I'd never find him again. So, right? You just got to do what you got to do. So that's the thing. There's so many different types of regrets in the past, even the silliest little things we might regret to the biggest things. We want to kind of neutralize them all, so to speak. If there's anything negative associated with them, we want to get rid of that. We want to work through that. So once you have the situation, you can replay it, you feel your feels, like the forgiveness. We're going to write it down. We're going to write that scenario down, especially if you can't think back and pull that positive out right away. Write it down. Then you kind of disassociate a little bit, take that step back, read it, and keep rereading it and pull out positives and lessons. And if there's only one positive or one lesson, that's fine. But if there's more, write down as many that come out. And then you just want to take a couple of days and reread the story and all the lessons, all the positives, just to kind of build up that little bit of gratitude, especially if it's a lesson. And then we kind of store those feelings, we store with that memory. And then we've kind of we've recorded over the bad news, the bad news bears. We've recorded over it with happy puppy videos, so to speak. So then when we look back at that memory, we either have like, okay, well, this lesson came out of that, I appreciate that, or this positive came out of that. Yeah, that was a good thing. No, again, not saying whatever happened was okay. Like in my case, my dad, you should not treat your daughters that way. Not saying his actions were okay, but I'm appreciative of that moment that helped shape me into who I am. Right? Does that make sense? Same thing with anything else that happens, falling the hole. Okay, yep. Watch where you're walking. Seriously, you're going to break something. Any of the bullies or whatever, positive. It helped build up my skin, like the thick skin. It helped me be able to tolerate and handle. It helped me to realize, how sad the bully's life must be, that they feel the need to put others down. Like all of these things, maybe I didn't get in that moment, but they all came to pass later on. They all helped. The seeds were planted then. They all helped my beliefs today, type thing. That makes sense? And similarly, where, again, I do appreciate all the bullying I did have when I was younger, because honestly, like, not to be, what was it? One of those movies where the guy's like, bring it at me. And I'm like, yeah, say whatever you want to me. I've been bullied. You can't hurt me. I've been bullied my whole life. Like, bring it on. Do your worst, right? Where it all serves a positive purpose when we choose to find it, when we choose to pick it out, that lesson, whatever it might be, right? So then I also love to visualize. If you guys love visualizing, the majority of people do. I think it's like an 80-20 split or something like that, maybe 70-30. So for those of you guys that like to visualize, when you've worked through that negative feeling with that regret, where it stops being a regret because you appreciate that it happened and what it gave you or how it helped you in whatever way, I always like to visualize like putting that memory back and leaving the baggage at the door and just like walking into the house with the memory, putting it on the shelf, and the baggage is like out on the street, and like a plow comes or the garbage truck and just throws it away. We don't need that baggage anymore, right? So maybe you think it's silly. I think it's fun. I think it helps. To me, that is like, if you have those big bolt cutters, it's like cutting the ball and chain off your ankle. Just like, oh, that's better. and shake it out, and like weight is gone. And yeah, you want to take the time, and I will amend that. I will say, don't necessarily take the time and sit there rooting through your entire previous life and all your past and all your everything, but really pay attention and take notice. If there is big ticket items in your past, like those traumas, those big events, things that really stuck with you, maybe you do want to think back. And if they are big events, you're probably also going to want that forgiveness letter with there, with it to really help along. But just be aware that regrets equal baggage. They all have negativity with them. If you think back, note that negative feeling. So I just want you to be aware, have that seed planted. Regrets are no bueno. We want to get rid of them. And then whenever they randomly pop into your head, so it's kind of like just building that awareness. So when the random thought pops into your head, that either that memory or it reminds you, and then like 3 stories later you're at that memory, to be cognizant and be like, oh, I need to fix this. I need to flip this script around and pull a positive and get rid of this negative feeling with that. I hope that makes sense. This is like obviously a really tough one for me to explain because it deals with so much. It's so circling, and I definitely trying to explain it all. I definitely got off on a few little tangents there, so I hope you followed it. Maybe rewatch it if you have to. And I'm pretty sure I either did make a video about it or I'm going to make a video about it. You can watch it there if that one is better or helps. But yeah, just to know, having regrets is having baggage. Having regrets is storing negativity in you. If you have a negative feeling that is associated with that memory is inside you, obviously. Like, it's stored in you. So you are storing that negativity in you. You're keeping it with you, right? So that's why it's so important to think back and not have these regrets, to kind of clean them up, to deal with them, and really, like, I will honestly, again, like, I love my life today. There are definitely things I'd like to improve. There's things that need to be changed. There's things I'm working on, because nobody's life is perfect, because perfect doesn't exist. And even when we think we've achieved the perfect life, most likely there's something else that happens. There's something else that comes up. There's something else we realize we want or whatever. We are wanting creatures. That's kind of, I don't know, like today's world, being a human being is to want things. That's how we're raised, to have desires and wants and money and spend and consume. So there's no such thing as a perfect life, because I always find there's things we just don't know we want yet, which is fine, as long as we accept that, and not to strive for a perfect life, because you'll never attain that. There is no perfect. It's not a thing. But to strive for just loving everything, loving as much as you can. And again, if there's something you really want to change, if there's something that, bothers you, put it on the list, put it in the schedule, write out, make a plan. How are you going to change that? How are you going to fix that? And commit and do it, and make your life that much better, right? This goes back to, and I've said it a ton before, I'll say it again, I'll keep saying it. Everything really is simple. That doesn't mean it's necessarily easy. That doesn't mean it doesn't take effort or time, depending on what you're trying to achieve. But almost all of it is so simple. If you want to achieve something, you plan how you're going to do it. These are for regular goals. Like, let's say you want to lose weight, or you want to, build a deck that you don't have, or buy your kids a big jungle gym and you don't have the money, that sort of thing. If you want to, make, I don't know, $10,000 extra a month, that's what my mentor will call a C-type goal. We don't plan for that. We strive for that. But those other things we can attain, you can get it somehow. You make a plan, and then you work out how you're going to do it, and then you get to doing it, right? All right, guys, I know this has been a little bit longer today, but this is a big one. It's, again, very similar to forgiveness, where it's a lot of weight, it's a lot of baggage, however you want to think of it, whether it's carrying the rocks, the backpacks, pulling the luggage behind you, like you got like a friggin' greyhound behind you of baggage or whatever, chains on your feet, and you're, walking through sand or what, however you want to visualize it. This is all needless baggage for you. And it is, you can get rid of it. You just need to take that little bit of time it takes to work through whatever it is, but you can get rid of it, and how much lighter you feel. And there's a lot of positive things in our life, and especially like whether it's work, friends, family, when we discard negativity out of us, we just get that much better as people. Our relationships get a little better. Our work is a little better. Like everything is a little better. We move and grow faster, and we do better things because we've taken that, again, like that weight off of us. It's like, if you're trying to swim holding something, you're swimming along, you're swimming pretty slowly. Doesn't mean you won't get where you're going. But if you can get rid of that little thing, now you got both arms, now you're going to get there right quickly. Right? And that's how it is, because we're just so much more efficient because we've dumped the baggage. All right, guys. Yeah, I hope this hits home for at least a few people. I hope you guys take, it doesn't have to be this big, I'm taking all of Sunday and I'm going to lock myself in my room and I'm going to put on music and I'm going to it doesn't have to be this big dramatic thing. You could just be even, eating your lunch, a memory pops up and you just think about it. And then you really think about it, write it down, preferably. If you don't have to, be like, okay, well, what's something positive that came? What's a lesson I learned while you're eating? And then you can work through it. Like, it doesn't have to be this profound, dramatic session, right? So, yeah, guys, good luck with all this. It really is, again, I think I say this about everything, but you'll notice the difference afterwards. I won't say life-changing, but you will notice a difference. And it's awesome. And yeah, as usual, I'm going to start remembering to say this more. Give me a thumbs up, give me a like, subscribe, tell your friends. I really appreciate, my goal is to just help people. All these things, I've been there, I've done that myself, I've worked through myself. I know how much better life gets. We don't have to be sitting in the dark type thing. Like, so that's just my purpose, is to help other people get to that better quality of life, like really just to improve. So the more you guys push the like, subscribe, leave a comment. Comments are great. The algorithm pushes me out to more people. So that's why I know I had to learn this myself from some of the channels I watch. It helps push us out to the people, helps get my videos out there more. So I would greatly appreciate all the help I can get in pushing me out there so I can help more people. And yeah, one person at a time, we're all just going to be better, happier, more loving people, and it's going to be great. So, all right, guys,